win. I don't mean to offend. The greatest on the mic, mightiest with the pen. Losing never been a choice, but a line is the same. Ascend and word, bending birds, birthed in the gym. Akin to the best, never aiming for less. Opposition so foul, got me calling for rest. Who's next to get bested? Mind, soul, and flesh is antithesis of mess. It's the pressure so free. So long, you better catch a God form to sing. Dreams manifested, you get what I mean? God always had a plan, he created for me. Success only means that I did what he seen. Got the game and the fans locked in like a key. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Yeah, I think we got one.
Well, hello there.
How you doing?
I'm always doing well. Even if I'm not doing well, I'm always doing well.
You know, my dad used to always have that response of outstanding. And then I don't know why, but here over my recent dadism times, I've adopted that response to the salutation. And I have another friend that, or I guess some people I know started to pick up on the fact that I do it a lot, and they're like, and when I don't do it, they're like, "Hey, you didn't say you're outstanding. What's going on?" And I'm like, well, you know, even like you said, even when I'm not outstanding, I'm outstanding, because sometimes I may be outstanding in the desert, outstanding in the street, outstanding in the backyard.
Did you really just dissect the compound word?
Hey, sometimes you got to, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not always.
Sometimes I'm outstanding in the rain.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. You know, all by myself, all by myself. I'm sorry, my Stevie Wonder version of the song. So, but it's for real though, and I think it's very apropos with the topic we got today, right?
Oh my God!
When you have those moments, like it's a continuation for those who joined us last time and saw the last episode. There's just some moments when we don't know what in the world we want to do other than quit. We don't know if we want to keep moving. If we just don't feel like, and I didn't use any colorful language. So it's just a point where, what do we do with that mindset? Some people say, what do I do with that energy? Well, you call it what you want. It's a mindset, it's a feeling, it's a space, it's a noun, right? It's a person, place, or thing, because sometimes it's a thing. What do you do when you want to quit, Chuck? Because I know I've had a couple times just this past week when I was like,
absolutely. So I put up the as we were talking, the first part of this conversation was the cost of saying yes. And so then now we're at the other side of that, where it's like, yeah, sometimes I said yes, and then some days I want to quit. I want to quit what I said yes to, or maybe I just want to reevaluate. I can tell you, there's been, when you said it's a person, place, or thing, it's a noun that we want to quit. I quit a lot of people in my life, and that was like one side of my coin of, okay, what does this relationship look like now that it's no longer this title or this what have you? And then I've quit a job before. Recently I quit a job, and in that way I quit to say yes to my yes. Right. So now that I'm in the space where my yes is sure, and even though I quit, like I'm like, oh Lord, but you know, I don't have a paycheck every single 2 weeks. These bills are still saying yes to the income that I had, not the income that I currently have. And so those distractions cause some trepidation, some visceral response when it doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like, or it looks like what it's supposed to look like now, but I have to accept that my yes is going to manifest in a different way, and that I'm out of control. And so that's when I feel like I want to quit the most. I know you asked me how do I deal with it, and I know we're going to jump into that. But I think it's when I'm not in control, I feel that overwhelming sense to say, I quit.
Like you said, it makes your mind go so many different places when the I quit comes, because it's sometimes you just find like you're just at the end, or people used to say, I'm at my wit's end. Well, I don't know if that really makes it any better, because my wit used to be thought of as a funny darkness, or sometimes
I
it's
need
just,
to know. I got to interrupt you. Did you eat today?
I had a banana.
Oh, so you didn't have your lower calorie
No,
bar thing.
no.
Okay, so
So
now I'm seeing a pattern. Depending on what you eat makes a difference.
am I hyped up?
You man, my wit you okay, keep going. I'm
I'm
listening.
sorry, my bad.
I'm
Well, so
back. I'm back.
those of you who've been following us also on this journey, I'm on a health journey as well now.
Mm-hmm.
Where the last was almost 3 weeks now, Shell. I think I've had to be back on my blood pressure meds and
Mm-hmm.
doing much more. Well, probably not this week, but I had been doing a little bit more of a concerted effort to lose weight. I do have a goal in mind.
Yes.
I haven't put the goal in body yet, but I've got a goal in mind. But
Mhm.
numbers have been good. But I find that the more of the blood pressure number comes down, the
Uh-huh.
more energy I have.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
amazing.
yeah, and so my numbers have been really well, even if it's slightly elevated for 2 days, but not to the degree where it was. So
Mm-hmm.
I just find it interesting. I actually been able to sleep better and wake up a lot more rested
Mm-hmm.
than I have in a while. And I think I've shared with you off air that I sleep better when there's another adult in the house.
Mm.
I don't feel like I need to be listening. And we got dogs that bark. If you breathe
Mm-hmm.
too loud, my dogs bark. Or
Mm-hmm.
if the light doesn't go off all the way, or it stays on too bright, they're
Mm-hmm.
fanatic about their bark. But I've been finding that I've been more rested when I wake up
Okay.
versus feeling like I can wake up and it's still the same moment that it was when I went to sleep. And
Yeah, I
I
think we
think,
did talk about that.
yeah, and I think it helps a lot with the feeling of prolonging the I quit stage.
Okay.
Because if you can get an adequate health and get your body to the point where, I'm not saying that we need to be able to withstand heavy blows for 60,000 years. I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
that if your body doesn't give out, then your mind doesn't shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So when your mind gets fatigued and
Mm-hmm.
the body's fatigued and your problems are stacking, there's nowhere to go but down.
So what did so many things you said, kind of want to go back to the adult being in the house too, because you have a house full of adults minus maybe one or two minors. But
Well, yeah.
I know I got you. So I'm gonna ask you to define that. Um, what I want to know is what did you have to quit, give up, and or modify in order to while you're on this health journey that you're on. I
Well,
think that's important too.
got it. Well, one thing I wanted to make sure I clarify the adult stage. I'm gonna use on the Stevens, your boy Stevens, like I said, like that. So it's your boy Stevens. You're gonna use your boy Stevens term for adult, or definition of adult. It's a fighting age male. So I've got a house full of fighting age males. I may or may not have a house full of adults. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not worried about, you know, how do I say? I'm not really worried about them getting into a fight when they're out in public, because
Got it.
they're not fighters. So
Uh,
they don't necessarily. Well, Jackson, he has that mean streak in me, but you have to
mhm.
provoke it, and you're never gonna provoke it out of sleep for Jackson. So I, he has to be fully woke for him to want to fight. So anytime
My
after
baby alone.
10, 11 o'clock on a school night, you ain't getting no fights out of him. So,
Oh goodness.
but what did I change? The most thing I changed though on mine is really a mindset, Shell. Is that
Hmm.
you have to
Hmm.
really want to do it, and then you got to
Yes.
do it, right?
Yeah.
And I used to say that want to want, and friend, like, what do you mean want to want? That don't make any sense.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, there's
Yes.
wanting to do something. That's one
Yes.
level. That's a step or two up,
Hmm.
and then I think like rock bottom,
Hmm.
when your back is against the bottom of the pit that you talked about. Your dad says use a shovel, you can't dig a hole unless you get into it, right? So the hole you
Right.
dug yourself in, you're at the bottom of it, you've hit the rock, you're not going any further, and then you
Hmm.
lay down to quit. At some point laying down, then when your back hurts and your head hurts and your heels hurt because you're laying on this hard surface, you're going to want to quit. I mean, you're not quit, sorry. You're going to want to get going again. And usually when I reach that point, I usually can get going again, because if you don't get up and go after wanting to even want to, there's not much left for you. I don't know what even would be left after that. So I just resolve my mind to the thought of, why am I doing things? I think I started to make my life real more about me and what I can do and what I needed to get done. And a lot of eyes started popping up. And in the empty room, there's only one eye. But when by the time I got through my list of stuff, there were about 20 or 30 eyes in the room. And there's only 3 other people I should be concerned with. That's God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. So I'm gonna cast all my cares on them because he cares for me. Then I need to let that be the real deal and let it go. I can't continue to take that thing back. Lord, I'm concerned that I don't have enough money for this. I don't have money for that. I don't have money for this. So I'm gonna cast that to you, but then go back and pick it up.
Right. Yeah. So there's a commitment there to yourself, getting clear. I think the conversation we had offline too was an exercise that I do with many of my clients when they're feeling stuck, and I did it with myself also. So I think that's important to point that out. Is in my coaching practice and in my life, I am not telling people to do or suggesting that they do, or when they ask me for a recommendation. Number one, as a coach, I'm here to hold people accountable to do what they say they want to do. So my job is to help them get clear on what they want to do. That makes sense. So I'm not saying, oh, you need to lose weight. If you were my client, you need to lose this amount of weight by this amount of time. That may be something you might discuss in therapy. That might be something you do with a health coach. That might be something you do with a different level of accountability and support partner. My job is to say, what do you want to do? So Craig, if you say I want to lose 15 pounds, then I say, okay, well, what does that look like for you? How are you currently eating? What's in your diet? What are some things that you might look at getting back? So those are things to look at. But only you can make the commitment beyond the I quit when it gets hard, because 15 pounds doesn't just come off like that. Even if you're doing illicit drugs, sometimes it's immediate, right? You make an immediate difference, but there takes some intentionality and some willpower, and getting clear on what you want helps you to ground yourself. And when it gets hard, this is the reason why I'm doing this. So it's the what and the why, not necessarily the how in the spiritual perspective. The how is engaged in the natural process of you saying, I'm going to stop, cooking fried food for a little while, and I'm going to focus on eating baked foods, or I'm only going to eat fresh vegetables, or I'm only going to do what have you until you get to a certain place. And once we get to the place where we have a little bit of strength and we're committed, sometimes I've noticed in myself is I go, oh, well, let me go ahead and eat that peanut butter cookie. Yeah. Because now I feel like I'm stronger. Now I feel like I have the right, or I'm going to reward myself with something. And sometimes the rewards, too much rewarding, gets us right back in the place where we were. And so there's an interesting balance when you talk about the want to want. Yeah. I think that's what hits my heart. The want to want is, even if I'm doing everything that I know to do, and I'm accomplishing what I want to do, sometimes the quit comes back up when I'm not moving along as fast as I thought I would, regardless of what I say I want. So I have to reconfigure and reassess. Oh yeah. Those behaviors.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start a new diet plan based on pound cakes and
oh Lord,
and carrot
and Hondo's ice cream.
Yeah, the blessing about Handel's ice cream.
Oh gosh, there's a blessing in the ice cream parlor. Come on, sir.
There's a blessing in the cream, because they even can have it delivered out your home. And they're not a sponsor of the show yet. I'm just saying, I'm encouraging handles, come on through. I'm gonna look in the camera. I'm gonna say, you handle people, come on through. You know what I'm saying? Come. Let God use you. We'll bless you. He'll bless you.
I feel like we need a moment of silence to regroup.
Oh, wait, a moment of silence for the cream.
Big Daddy said, "There's a blessing in the sauce."
Yes, it is. There's a sauce that I love. I won't use it. Well, actually, I can use the term because it's the name of a sauce. It's actually a brand, so I don't.
Oh gosh, I think I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Don't have to concern and shake up some of our super spiritual followers. You ever had that bitchin sauce?
Yes.
Oh my goodness,
my son uses it.
I will put that on anything.
So
chips, carrots, celery, even the what's the charcuterie board?
Yes.
The meats and cheeses.
Yes.
Maybe not the cheese, but the meats. Oh.
But pepper jack cheese is good.
True, but I'm not sure if I would dip it in the bitchin sauce.
You might have a different issue later. However, that kind of sauce, actually, I don't know that it has that many calories in it. But are those some of the things that you also had to think about in terms of quitting or modifying or?
Well, I had to add that sauce in because from a dairy standpoint, not dairy, so from something like.
Wait, aren't you lactose intolerant? Am I telling your business? Should I have not said that? You don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer that. Don't answer that. Plead the fifth. Okay.
I'm going to plead the fifth, sixth, and the seventh because seven.
Move on. My bad. When you're talking about ice cream and the blessing, I'm like, that sounds like a blessing and a curse.
Well,
I have a family member who's lactose intolerant, and so anyway, it ain't. We're recording, sir. Are you lactose intolerant too? Don't say his name. See what's happening here. This is what's happening in real life. Y'all may notice that my background is a little different. I was telling Craig that I like to move around my house a little bit. Sometimes I get in a spot and I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over and over. And I'm like, I got to quit that because it keeps me locked in a mindset that I can only do that while I'm there. And I found myself not getting things done. And that's a part of my, I guess that's a part of my personality too. Let me think about that a little bit more. But I like to move, and I like to move around my house and live in my house. You were talking about living earlier, and when we quit, we miss out on the opportunity to live out the thing that we saw, right? The thing that we believed was possible. So I don't want to quit. I don't want to quit at all. I want to keep going and find a way to reassess, adjust, what have you, without quitting, because I want to be able to enjoy everything that my life has in store for me.
Yeah,
through intentionality.
I think if you quit too soon, too. I mean, and I know probably, I want to believe like 99% of the people or the times that we say I quit, or you hear somebody say I quit, I'm not doing this anymore. Mm-hmm. It's just a moment of frustration when we throw our hands up and say, you know what, I'm gonna take a knee for a minute and I'm just not gonna care anymore. You know, I just can't do what I'm doing anymore. I got to go take a break because everything seemed to have come to a head. And if I can't even imagine if somebody had 8 ropes tied around your body, pulling you from all 8 different directions with people that were 20 times stronger than we are. Whoever's the strongest among those 20 is going to pull you in the final direction where they want you to go. And not having any say or control over where that is, I know for me it's frustrating. And I don't want to be involved in things situations that I can't control. I don't want to say I'm a control freak, but I'm a control freak. I want to be able to dictate a little bit more of my life about what's done next and what's not done. And then I have a tendency to procrastinate too. So sometimes the things that need to get done, I don't do them until the last moment. Then I get super motivated and get hyper focused. But you just can't stay on target for 17 targets at the same time. It's just not mentally and physically possible. I think you and I talked off air about decision fatigue. And I had heard another friend use that term years ago, and I had never heard it before. But over the last, I don't know, 2 to 4 weeks, I've heard it more times than I'd care to acknowledge. And now I have a full understanding of what that means. And being a person that has struggled with migraines over my life, having a better understanding now of that goes alongside the thought of I quit and I give up. I don't want to have that anymore, to the point where your body just says, hey, we give up. Because that's an involuntary thing that, again, I have no control over. And I should have a lot more control over when my body completely shuts down. And it doesn't, because I got to be a better steward over this temple. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yep. Guess what?
What?
I got
chicken butt.
I got three. I got three. I got three things.
Bonus chips.
The bonus one. Bonus Wednesday. Oh, it's Wing Wednesday. It's definitely bonus day.
It is Wing Wednesday.
But our meeting is not until three things. Number one is control freaks. I admit I have control challenges.
Do you?
And
really?
It's a little bit. Just a little bit. I do. Okay.
If I had a 60-inch
Take a deep
screen,
breath. You know what?
90-inch.
I would say your mama, but I love my Aunt Eunice too much to disrespect her.
Well, I'm gonna say it. My mama. No.
So that is definitely a challenge to overcome. And I often say, when people have a friend, I ain't gonna name no names, but I worked with her in healthcare for many, many years, and we've been friends for a little over 20 issues, 20 episodes, over 20 years. And I planned my wedding to a T. And I asked her to facilitate that as my coordinator. And I planned it. And all I asked was that she, executed on the exact plan that I put out there, to the point where she was like, can you plan my wedding? When she got married, I was like, of course. So I planned it so much that when I would come around, she would start singing Janet Jackson Control. And Control. And I'm like, will you stop that? But I didn't realize how much that impacted other people. So I had to learn the balance for me is that I can have all the control that I think I want to have in my own life. It's not right for me to intentionally, this was unintentional, but to intentionally make people feel like they need to do what I want them to do. So that was number one. Number two is along that same lines. I posted a me at 3 a.m. saying, like, you never have to be uncomfortable to make someone else feel comfortable. And that goes along with this idea that carries over into point number three. When you talked about if you had your body wrapped up in ropes, right? And you had different people pulling, whoever was going to be the strongest would win. That's actually, it's a form of death, right? Quartering, right? Yeah. And so when we are being pulled in so many different directions, whether it's to make ourselves feel comfortable, to make someone else feel comfortable, or to feel like we have to be in control of all of these different aspects, we're not prioritizing anything. And so to your point around decision fatigue as well, and that feeling of overwhelming where you have your hand, I had my hand in so many different things, nothing was getting done in the way that I wanted it to go. I could give some attention to this, it's like multitasking. I could give some attention to this, some attention to that, but am I really doing it and giving it my all? And I find that expedites the feeling to want to quit when the things that I'm involved in or the things that I'm doing, there's so many of them, it's difficult to prioritize. Even if I want to do all of them, I have to realize I can't do all of them at the same time.
No.
And that just doesn't work. And then I end up doing nothing. And now I'm depressed and in the bed because I feel like I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And that quit looms larger than life. So.
Yeah. And it's funny. We've left the quit I quit on the screen for a little while. I'm gonna get, this is the topic we're talking about. It's the follow up to last week's episode, and it's there. I mean, and I think it's apropos that it's there because it's there in our lives so often, but it's like just below the surface, kind of looming just out of frame, as they say in the TV, movie industry. But it's there. It's something that we might even dart our eye into and look at. And should I quit today? Should I quit? No, I'm gonna keep going. No. No. So it's there, right? But when we really think about it, for me, there is no plan B.
No, sir, there is not.
No, because it takes from plan A, and we just have to, we talked about grinding to turn, I get my grind on, gotta get my grind on, and grinding. I'm like, I feel like there's such a wearing away of who I am and the strength and energy I have by use of that term. And we talked about having another term, and I want to use that from now on. If I could write it down, and I'm right now, I'm having a senior moment.
You want me to write it?
Or and what was it? I forgot what the term was.
Well, you said pressing.
There it is. There it is.
You said pressing.
Yes.
And I had my own version of that word. So you talk about yours, and I'll share mine.
Yeah, So I just need to press through things, and even when use again, I'm going to share the analogy of the olives being processed to extract the oils from it for either medicinal or culinary or whatever you're going to use the oils for. I love the term the pressing because it actually smashes it all. It presses everything out, because an olive will hold moisture or the oils in every single fiber, even the outer skin. And they've developed ways to press it out. Even they call them a cold pressed olive oil. So you don't want to create the heat in there, which begins to cook the olive, and it changes the properties of the oil. And so they introduce cooling into it. So the situation of the pressing, as it raises the temperature naturally in the process of crushing, it cools that down to preserve the oils that flow out of that. I like that part, because to me, I feel like I'm on the other side of the press. I don't want to get on. I don't want to be the one in between the plates being pressed, because if I'm pressing through, that means I think my tasks are getting smaller. My issues are going away. I'm getting every. Well, I guess the Lord even shows me, though, even if I'm on the inside of that press, the Lord is getting every ounce of who I am out of me in every issue that I'm in, even if I'm on the inside of that plate.
I like the way that you explained that today. And the scripture that says, I press toward the mark, right? As of the high calling. And so part of that is forgetting those things that are behind you, and pressing toward those things that are in front of you.
Sure.
And when we were talking about this, I mentioned the word crushing. Because when you think about the olive or even the grape, for our wine connoisseurs, it's a crushing process to yield the very best, to reveal the finest quality of whether it's the olive or the grape or what have you. It's to reveal that crushing, that tearing away. And something that I heard different that you said that prompted something in me is that I'm removing myself. I am a barrier to me.
Yes.
My natural man is a barrier. If I don't keep this mind right, you talked about the full circle moment. If I don't keep this mind right, it's not going to keep this body right. If I'm not aware of what I'm putting into my body, if I'm not aware in a natural sense of what I'm eating, what my intake is, it actually changes even the nature of the toxins that come out of our body. It changes the quality of what the finished product will be if I stay in the way, if I'm not open to to what my yes really yields, and at all costs avoid the quit, because if I quit before I'm completely exhausted, meaning everything that's in me, every thought, every vision, every promise, everything that I believe that will be manifested through me, if I quit before all of that comes out of me in that crushing process of eliminating self and focusing on spirit, focusing on intentionality, focus on the call, focus on that yes, then I've defeated myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we quit, that's exactly what we're doing, is defeating ourselves. We can say it was external. My husband didn't support me. My sons didn't do this. My daughter said that. My auntie 2 generations ago, well, she quit, and we have this perpetual thing where we're constantly looking outside of ourselves instead of looking inside, that this crushing, this pressing, this whatever it is that is getting the best out of us in our faith, in our capacity,
Sure.
it just won't be what it's supposed to be if we quit.
It's funny. And I know I shouldn't say it that way. When you were talking, I remember the story about the widow that was going to take the last bit of her oil, the last bit of meal, and make cakes, and for some were going to eat and die. And it's interesting that was going to be the end. I'm going to make a meal, we're going to eat, and then we're going to die. And when I used to read it, I thought, well, it sounded like it's an immediate thing. We're going to eat that meal, and then we're going to lay down, and we're not going to live anymore. I'm thinking, well, you're putting fuel in your body. You're not going to die right then. But that was basically, she had given up. I'm going to cook.
That was her mindset. Absolutely.
Right. I'm not going to I can't get any more of this. When this is eating this, then whatever happens, and that would be almost 2 to 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later, we're going to die. It's like, ooh, that's such a final analogy to just give up and quit right now because death comes later.
Yes.
But when the prophet came to her home and said, hey, go make me something to eat.
Right.
And when you get done with that, go gather up all the jars that you can find in the city, around you, any jar you can find. And I'm going to fill them with and pour your oil out in them. And
listen.
And so I thought to myself, the Lord showed me that is actually us, but for someone else's life, for something else we were supposed to do. Every jar represents something that we were supposed to do. And that jar doesn't get full of our talent, our gift, or whatever we were supposed to do, unless the pressing takes place to get the best out of us. And the only reason that in the biblical story, only reason why the oil stopped flowing was because she stopped bringing jars, pots. And I'm thinking, so if the scripture is true, which we believe it is, that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, that means that as long as I have a choice, a will to do, there'll be strength to done. And I know the when you think of just even the language doesn't make sense, but it does, because if I have a will to do, there is going to be a strength that'll take me from the to do all the way to it gets done. And I'm like, that has a new understanding for me, a revelation for me today.
So I guess this would be 5 things, because I have 2 things.
We went from 2 to 3 to 5.
No, I added those together.
2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5.
Okay. First thing is, when you were talking about the woman, the woman in the Bible, and the oil cruise, and she had the mindset. So what came to me was what was downloaded to me for what I posted today is make a different choice. Make a different choice.
Yeah.
And so with that, second thing is, she had made the first choice to eat the cake, make the cake, eat the cake, anime, eat the cake, make the cake, eat the cake, she and her son, and that was it. That was the choice that she made. the second part of this, and I'm getting a little bit of chills going on here, because the second part of what she was told when she made that choice sounded selfish. It sounded impossible. It sounded crazy. No, you and your son are not going to eat the cake that you just made. Make me the cake first. You say yes to me.
Yeah.
And I promise that I'll do X, Y, and Z, or I promise that this will happen, right? But he didn't even make a promise. Prophet didn't make a promise. He said, what I want you to do is first make me the cake, and then I want you to go gather from other people, on my word, go gather from other people in your neighborhood, in your village, in whatever, and they have to trust you in order to give you. Yeah. You have to trust me, but they're going to have to trust you in something that you don't even believe.
Yeah, that part.
We don't realize how powerful our gifts and talents are.
Yeah.
We don't. And when we say yes to, when we do have that moment of clarity and we go, okay, yes, I'm going to say yes to the dream. I'm going to say yes, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to say yes to you. And that is what's going to be the very thing that blesses me, that keeps me alive. I don't claim to be a Bible scholar at all. So I don't know if it said how long they lived in perpetuity, how long, if she actually died later, but I know that they lived, and I know that their cupboards they had never gone bare again in their lifetime. Yeah. So the cost of saying yes, right? Making a different choice when we feel like giving up is going to be the very thing that causes us to live the life that we didn't even believe was possible. It's my favorite scripture is Ephesians 3:20.
Yeah.
And we know God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we could ask or think, according to the power that worketh in me. So again, I'm the barrier or I'm the blessing. But when I quit, you'll never know.
I'm typing. Was that your 5 things already?
That was only 2. It was 2 plus 3 earlier.
Oh.
So it was only 2.
This one here that when you said,
what did I say that was good?
You said you prompted.
Oh yeah, I did. I did say something like that.
Yeah, you prompted a memory to the enemy to my success or fulfilling my dreams or getting to where I'm supposed to get to. It's inside of me. It's me. Yes. And that's really the reality for all of us. The enemy barrier is the term you used. So we're going to make barrier and enemy synonymous together today with what you're saying. So the enemy or the barrier so often is us. The enemy is enemy. And if we would just realize that and let that go and let the Lord have every problem, every situation, every aspect of what we're dealing with, then we're going to be okay. You also mentioned something, and I'm also rereading The Purpose-Driven Life. And I was very thankful I actually had an opportunity to meet Dr. Rick Warren in person.
Oh, nice.
I think it was last year or 2 years ago. Either way, it feels like it was yesterday, because when he came in the room, it was like, oh my gosh, that's Rick Warren. And I know the thought is not in worshiping people, but when you find a work of literature or reading or a song or whatever that changes your life. Yes. There's a few books that I've had the privilege of reading over my short life that have been life changing. Probably 7. I don't need to go through all 7, but one is the book that your mom has written on the Book of Revelation. That's one. And then the Builder's Companion. So put those 2 together. And then there's Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. It's just it changes your mindset about things. And then there's the Prayer of Jabez and its companion book.
Oh man, yeah.
And there's Experiencing God. So I remember, oh man, it's life. And so I just remember, and I keep looking down, and I keep like I was back in the same room again in Rick Warren's office in their like kitchen area. They were preparing to serve and greet. I think it was the president of whatever an African country. We were not at the time. We weren't allowed to disclose who was coming because of the political climate in their country and whatever. So I still won't release it because I don't know what the situation is. But anyway, we were preparing to serve. And serve, I mean, they asked for volunteers from outside of their team and inside their team just to serve meals and then to clean up afterwards. And I thought to myself, it's a very humbling thing when you watch a person whose life is service. And we don't often think of a life of a servant being something that's glamorous. We think of it as, oh, it's hard work, it's labor intensive, it's blah. But when you walk through and you listen to Rick Warren's story, it's like he when he was pastoring the church, he decided, you know what, I'm making more money selling books. I don't want to be a burden on the church. Don't pay me. I got it. It reminds me of what Paul did in the Bible. Paul says, I know I'm entitled to. I'm
worthy of it.
worthy.
Yeah.
But even from the not just being worthy, he was their pastor, right? So he was entitled to. They were responsible for his upkeep. They had an obligation to, and he let them off with that in an effort to allow the church to be the church. And allow him to be freer, so not to feel like, well, I gotta. Sometimes we do things out of vain obligation, and I've always loved that about Paul because he had a business and he knew enough, wise enough, the Lord gave him wisdom to understand is, I want you to follow me and not follow the people with the money.
Right.
I've been involved with too many churches who have allowed their decisions to move as the money moves. I don't like the way that went, Pastor, so I'm not going to give. I don't like you. I don't like so-and-so, so I'm not going to give. And I don't like that. You don't like, I'm like, you don't like that. I don't like. What happened to what God likes? What happened to being a friend of God and not an enemy of God? And so I don't care for those kind of things. So I've always wanted to say, if Lord bless me to have a ministry that was, well, let me not say it that way because it's already happened. So let's change it. So in the works that I do, I'm thankful that I'm able to fund the items and activities that I believe the Lord wants me to do. So it's not what do you call it, living on a requirement of other people.
Yes.
So, and I think that's one of the things that gives the frustration of where I'm at right now. There are some things that I need funding for that the funding hasn't come yet, but that doesn't stop me from bringing them to the table.
Yes.
And living a humble life, there's details at every single step. And I've been fidgeting with this paragraph. I don't know if you can see it. This is actually an apparel tag.
Okay.
Be in the back of a normal shirt.
Sure.
And a lot of folks just go, I have a new viewpoint of these. And most of the time you just think, oh, it's just going to give you the size of the garment that you're wearing or the wash and carry instructions. And oh man, the damn thing is itching me in my neck. And I hold that tag and it's an irritant. Eventually we tear them out sometimes, right? Especially if it's our garment, I know what size it is. And if I can't wear it anymore, that's a problem because I don't gain too much weight, right? So this particular one is the wash and care instructions, but there's also ones that have the brand of the garment that you.
Yes.
I just completed a project for a client for the first time. I actually did I screen printed their brand labels.
Love it.
Into their shirts in replacement of the manufacturer's label.
Love
So
it.
everywhere that young man goes, the young man is 15 years old.
Wow.
And he cuts hair. His parents have converted their garage into a barbershop in support of his dream. And I thought to myself, wow. And I don't want to get emotional, but when you think about it, it's the first time I actually got a chance to look at someone outside of my house. And had I quit, that young man would not have had to been able to experience the impact that his brand at 15 years old is making.
Yes.
On just his life, to be able to see his dream come to life, the intentionality, the attention to detail, the will, the desire, the want to that it takes to even be bold enough to say, hey, buy my shirt.
Yeah.
And then he wear it. I'm like,
yes.
and I'm thinking, and it's humbling when you really think about it, to sit there and be a tailor, basically, or a decorator, to sit and hold someone else's. When you think about it, if you're holding someone else's dream in your hand, someone else's garment in your hands, someone else's life in your hands, and you're applying something that represents them.
Yes.
into their fabric.
Yes.
And there's a lot, it's hard to say no to that yes that you just put on a garment and you're wearing. That's why I wear things that I've made so often, not just armor, in daily life, because on those I quit days, I need to understand, I can't quit. I just wrote that.
Yeah.
And I can't quit because I just wrote that and made that. And okay, not because I made it because it looks, because of the meaning behind it, or what it even says. This one says, you don't want the smoke. Well, if I quit, I didn't want the smoke.
Yeah.
So there's a high cost to the quit.
Yeah.
That I don't want to pay. I'm not willing to pay.
It's kind of like a compounded interest, right?
Yeah.
And credit card debt and all the things. And the other day when you and I were talking, I was saying I had to immediately do a quick mindset change on, like, I made the comment earlier, the bills are not the bills are not going to stop billing. The math is just not mathing. And then I had to say, well, thank you, like, and show some gratitude that I'm in a position where that is truth.
Yeah.
I may not have what I used to have.
Yeah.
And if I stay faithful, if I'm faithful in this time of distraction, this time of this kind of like season of true faith and trust, that my yes is worth the cost. And that my no is or that my quit is gonna cost probably double that, because of the compound impact that's gonna happen to those opportunities like what you're describing. I can't afford to quit. I
Right.
can't. I That's what I can't afford.
Yeah.
And today I wore my "Let the Haters Hate" shirt that I created through my ABCs of Lifelong Learning. And this is something that was inspirational to me, because sometimes people will make you feel like you're crazy for the yes that you're on. So sometimes I felt crazy. I felt dismissed. I felt unworthy. I felt ill prepared, because the very people that I thought would be supporting me because it's my dream and they love me, they were the ones that I felt the most hated by, that I felt the most misunderstood by. And I could have forfeited, my yes for what they thought of me. And then what you just said is very powerful. And one of my taglines in my email is, and on my invoices is, "Thank you for trusting me on your journey."
Yeah.
Because the space that people allow me in is a very private space. And while I do not have a God complex at all, because I'm like, you're making this decision, whatever you decide to do. So I do feel a part of me, I'm holding their life in my hand, and I have to be very, very careful. But I know that I'm not the one that gives the increase. I'm only responsible for the planting of the seed or the watering, depending on the circumstance. But I never, ever, ever take credit for what people do with their life as a result of working with me, if that makes sense. That's not my glory to take. And to have a part in that, to be a part of that journey, and to be trusted in those sacred spaces with someone's dream, someone's heart, someone's love, someone's broken heart.
Yeah.
If I say no, and I look at the past from 2016, when the business started, to now, how many lives have been impacted? As a Crucial Conversations certified trainer, one of the things that they have you do every year, or ever so often, to keep your certification active, is to put in how many lives you impacted. And they could say, how many classes did you have? How many sessions did you do? And then how many participants do you have? But they believe so much in their product. They believe so much in the learnings that they have accumulated over the years. Not only did they create more series and different opportunities and different environments to use literally the same content, but it's how many lives have you impacted, and how many lives will be lost if we quit?
Yeah, that's a heck of a question. because it's funny you said that, because you mentioned earlier the desire to quit so often comes because the loved ones that we knew or thought we knew were going to be down for us were down against us. And that was one of the main reasons recently where I was like, I'm gonna quit, because people that I thought were going to be in my corner, they were in the corner all right, but they were fighting me in my corner. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to put me in my corner and get back in the box, and don't do that. And that is something that you have to go and say, why am I doing this? And remember what your why is and stand on that. And I try to always tell my sons, your life doesn't have to make any sense to anyone but you and God.
Absolutely.
If you can make it make sense to you and God, and in a lot of cases, it's only going to make sense to God. It ain't going to make no sense to us. But in terms of the why,
not in them quitting moments, it's like,
especially not
to do. I mean, like literally outstanding.
Yeah.
Under the heavens, going, what did you ask me to do? Are you sure? Are you sure? Right. Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's real.
In watching that play out right now, Caden is on a real serious baking streak right now.
Yes.
I have not seen him bake this, I don't want to say ferociously, but I'm gonna use the term. I have not seen him bake that ferociously so far. Where in the last probably 7 to 10 days, he's probably baked at least 4 times.
And I'm wondering why I haven't gotten a visit 20 minutes away.
Well, here's the thing. They don't seem to last long enough.
I still got to try that cowboy cookie thing.
Oh,
is that what it's called?
Yeah. Then they're not even in the house right now. So he's made pound cake and cheesecake repetitively over the last 10 days.
Wow.
He baked up a whole bunch of stuff and took it to this camp meeting on Tuesday nights they have with Camp Kesem.
Oh, that's
Kesem, UCLA chapter, beautiful chapter, organization that supports children who've either lost a loved one or have a loved one that's been either diagnosed with or has passed away from cancer. And it's a nonprofit organization, and those who really want to help something. If you've had cancer hit your house or you have cancer, Kesem is a great thing. It entered our life about 9 years ago, going on 10 years ago, and has made such a difference. It allows my sons and other children to go to camp and be amongst kids who are like them. And shameless plug for them. Sure, in our social, I'll put their nonprofit ID number, so you put it in to donate money to help them, because they're 100% nonprofit. The camp is free to all of the campers. Even the counselors have to pay their own way.
I love that.
And we as a family, and as a business, do support Kesem with donations as well as merch. And I ramble all that around to say, Caden, when he took his cakes and pastries up to their meeting, I thought he was going to give it away to the other counselors that were coming, because sometimes and that's one thing as business and solopreneurs, we think those that are down for us are going to buy from us, and we keep fishing from the same pond quite often. So he took his cakes up there. I thought, oh, this is just a reward, because they had just had a major fundraising dinner, and I thought he was rewarding them. But that joker sold them bad boys.
I love it.
And $133 later, the counselors still supported each other and supported him, and all that money he's giving to the camp.
I love that.
So it's such an awesome thing. And then he brought me home a shirt. It was just out of frame for me to find, because I think last year they had a shirt that they went with another vendor. No big deal. It's just my goal is to be able to support them as much as we can with promotional items. So this year, that same vendor is not available.
Love it.
Interestingly, how that comes about. And I've been trying to get my son since the last almost 2 years to realize what we do. And what we do can help that organization do what they do all year round. So I think it's finally clicking, because Caden came home. They came home from their meeting. It was like 12 o'clock. Hey, Dad, I need you this. Remember this shirt from last year? The vendor's not available. I need you to find it. Can you print on it? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'll find the exact one. So it was a blessing to be able to give back in any way we can to an organization that's given to us. And
I love that.
I don't know where my sons would be. And again, I don't know where our household would be had that organization not come around. And we just realized last week when we went to the event, well, it'll be more than last week when this airs, but Kesem has only been around 20 years.
Wow.
And my sons have been involved for half of that.
Half of that time.
And as far as Caden and Ryan and some of them are concerned, there's no stopping. They're going to be a part of Kesem till they die, because they want to give back to kids who had the same type of experience that they had.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think number one, I committed to giving a donation, and I have not done that yet. The check is in the mail, literally. And so when that check comes through for me, I will come through for y'all, because that's my heart. The other thing that I heard as you were talking is, what would it be like to have a conversation with the camp's leaders or owners, founders, to see how many times they wanted to quit and what was driving them not to, right? Because think 20 years in business, 20 years with a nonprofit, where you are solely relying on people's hearts and goodwill and donations. You may get a grant here or there. There may be some, public service opportunity that you get rewarded.
Sure.
I'm not confident that happened the whole way through.
Sure.
And the last thing that I thought about, and I thought we had a thing for this, so I just created this really quickly. As you were saying, last year, your mindset and your business perhaps wasn't in the state of readiness for the opportunity that you're going to have now. Yeah. And I think that's an important thing that we acknowledge is, when from a spiritual standpoint, we already know that whatever is happening in the atmosphere, that it has to be conducive for the blessing that is to come. Yeah. But we have to be ready to receive it, because it's already there. It's waiting on us. And so when we're in these moments where we want to give up, then we're pushing ourselves further and further away from being ready for that opportunity, for that miracle, for whatever we've been waiting for. So we want to encourage each of you to continue to let your yes remain true. And in those times when you feel like giving up, because we're human, we get discouraged, we might not have everything that we think that we need, but commit to your why. Go back, look at your why, look at what you really want to accomplish, and reset to make sure that you're not the barrier in the life that you see yourself living.
Yeah. Well, that's a heck of a landing for this plane. You have been joining us on the Knight&Craig show, and feel free to always follow, like, comment, send it to a friend, share. Do something with it. Just don't pass it by. Keep scrolling. Some of y'all left and right swiping. Some of you are scrolling up and scrolling down. Some of you are tapping on the screen. As it comes by, say something. Let us know that it's something has landed with you, and tell a friend, hey, if you've gotten something out of these episodes and you're watching us on our YouTube channel as well, don't hold it in. Share the love, spin it around, do something with it. If you want to be a guest, or if you have show ideas, or you just need to talk, you need another life coach, a life coach, you need some help, you just want to talk to someone, or if you want to be a guest and join in the discussion right here on the show with us, send us an email, let us know. Get involved. We want to help you, help yourselves. We want to all be better. And Shell, I'm going to do like you just I'm going to reach out to the Kesem people and see if we can get someone to talk about their I quit moments and how did they overcome them. So you're liable to see, y'all watching, you're liable to see this topic come and have some guests who want to share that topic, because it's a thing.
Absolutely. Our goal is to support people who are like us, people who are different from us, and definitely those people who have a dream that they know is unstoppable. So definitely want to support people doing that.
Yeah, because I tell you, doing this, whatever this is for you, whatever this is for me, it's tough. And we don't always have people out there who are examples. And well, that's not true. We always have people out there who are examples. Now, not all of them are tangible and accessible to us. And so when we can find those, we don't just want to reach out to them and make a connection and see what happens. What's the worst that they say? No, that's probably the worst, right?
Right.
What if they said yes? What if they took a chance and said, yeah, I understand where you are. I had the same mindset. I had the same thing, but I didn't quit. You can't get to 20 years without one, and day 2, and day 3. You can't get to McDonald's billions and billions of served without 1, and then 2, and then keep going. So they didn't quit. Walt Disney went bankrupt several times before he finally got stable enough. And then the dude died, and his Walt Disney, we are being impacted positively by Disney years and years after that man's death. He built a legacy, and I think that's also what the Lord wants us to do, is to leave a legacy for our children's children's children. And that's what we've been talking about in these last few episodes specifically, but really that's what we've been doing. That's why we started the show, right? To help people in their legacy work. So
absolutely.
All right, I guess I'll press the thing now. Bye.
Awesome. Bye.
I came to win, I don't mean to offend. The greatest on the mic, mightiest with the pen. Losing never been a choice, but a line is a sin. Ascend in word, been in verse, birth in the gym. Akin to the best, never aiming for less. Opposition so foul, got me calling for rest. Who's next to get bested? Mind, soul, and flesh is antithesis of mess. It's the verses so free. So long, you better catch a God form to sing. Dreams manifested, you get what I mean? God always had a plan, he created for me. Success only means that I did what he seen. Got the game and the fans locked in like a key. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Yeah, I think we got one.